This is the brand new 2025 Toyota Camry. This is a complete redesign. This is a brand new car. And for the first time, this is going to come only with a 2.5 liter hybrid motor. They've dropped the V6, they've dropped the 4-cylinder. All you get is the hybrid. And this is going to be the 5th generation hybrid motor in this. But first, let's take a look at this design. I think this is quite interesting and quite a bit more aggressive than the last generation of Camry. We've got these headlights with a little swoop, which really reminds me quite a bit of the brand new Prius. In fact, you can see some of the Prius here too, in the way we have this opening that goes all the way from one side of the vehicle to the other. So it gives it a more sharp, aggressive kind of look. And we've got this grille with this hexagonal pattern that sort of reminds me a little bit of a Cylon robot, if you know what I mean. But I think it looks pretty good. Let me know your thoughts on it. We actually have some canards over here too, and apparently this arrow is functional. So quite an aggressive, quite a more sporty look. This happens to be the XSE package, which is the top package for this vehicle. So coming over to the side here, I think we have 19-inch wheels and tires on this. In fact, these are pretty nice looking wheels. And just the overall profile, it definitely says I'm a Camry. There's no big surprises here, but the front and the rear are definitely more updated to give it a sharper, more sporty appearance that just definitely doesn't scream race car, even though the press release says it's race car inspired. It's definitely not, but we have still a pretty conservative back. We have a little lip spoiler here, which I think has a nice touch, and this kind of blackout Camry piece over here too, which sort of mirrors what they're doing with Lexus, with the Lexus taillight bar. So this sort of gives you a little bit of that kind of vibe. Now, for the first time, this comes in all-wheel drive across all of the different trim packages, from the L, the LE, all the way up to the XSE. You can get all-wheel drive, and it has two different configurations essentially. So with it's a part-time all-wheel drive system that's on demand. So when you get the all-wheel drive, you get 232 horsepower, which is 30 more horsepower than the current generation. So this is using the E-axle, and the motor they're using in the back is just frankly bigger than what they used to use before in the last generation. So we have more power. We don't have fuel efficiency numbers yet, but the last generation hybrid did around 50 miles per gallon on the freeway, and I expect we're going to see pretty much the same kind of numbers from this 5th generation hybrid powertrain. So obviously we've got a battery, and then we have a 2.5 liter engine up front, which again is revised. So let's talk about the interior of this XSE package. So this being the top grade, they have leather trim in here, and the different grades, as Toyota likes to call them, have different types of material. So this has got leather, and this, of course, has power seats, which, you know, there's no power in this car right now, so none of this is going to come on. But we do have two different display options here. So in the upper trim levels, we get a 12.3-inch display, which is using Toyota's new multimedia system. It's actually quite good. It's quite responsive, I find. On the entry-level ones, you get a smaller display. I believe it is 8 inches, so it's just going to be a little smaller cutout. What I also like is we have physical heating and ventilation controls, which is a very nice touch, and I'm glad they didn't go the Venza route where you've got everything is on the screen. So this is kind of nice that they've kept this, and they haven't gone with the new thing that people are putting everything on the screen, which Lexus is doing too. I think this is better. And we have this sort of swoop over here, this sort of, I'm not sure what you call it, this race car swoop. Now, one thing I don't like is that this piece here is glossy black, and if you live in a state like Florida or California, we get a lot of sun coming in, this could reflect up onto the windscreen here, but I don't think it's going to be too much of an issue. We have some nice soft touch materials in here, and overall this is a sort of sporty, comfortable, cozy kind of cabin that definitely has a little bit more of a cockpit kind of design than the last generation. Was a little bit more open, although we still have really good sight lines in here too. Let's hop into the back seat and see what the amount of space is back here. So in the back, I have really great knee room. I'm a 5'9", and I can sit behind myself really easily. Now, headroom with this double sunroof, not so good. If I were 6 foot, I think my head would actually be touching this, unless I sort of did the gangsta lean and did this, which is probably not the most comfortable way to sit in the back seat of a car. So, you know, really good knee room, not the best headroom. I think it's really comfortable for 4 people. For 5 people, probably not really what you want, but this is the #1 selling car, sedan in North America, and has been for a long time. So I think what they're really trying to do is kind of keep all the same vibes that they have for the last generation, not make any huge changes, because this has been selling really well. This is designed at Calty Studios in California, and this whole car is basically designed for the North American market. The trunk is going to be, if it even opens up, is going to be pretty huge because the battery doesn't work, but believe me, it's pretty huge because that's what Camrys do. And then coming over to the driver's side, what we have over here is, I think it's a 12.3 inch display, multi-information display in front of the driver. This is going to be all LED, and I saw this at the preview and it looked really nice and really bright. So we've got also some metal, sort of aluminum style, race inspired pedals, I think, too. And I think what you're going to find here in the XSE trim, and probably even in the lower grades, is that this car is going to have more of a sort of a sporting character. This is what they've been talking about. Every generation lately, they've been making the Camry a little bit more sporty as people move up into SUVs. If you want a car, they're sort of trying to separate it and differentiate it a little bit. So what they're doing with the XSE and the SE is that you're going to get a different tuned suspension than you're going to get with the L and the LE. So you're going to have slightly different dampers, you're going to have slightly different springs, you're probably going to have some bigger anti-roll bars. So this is going to handle a little bit better and just feel a little bit more sporty. They talk about this car is going to be fun to drive. That's been a big focus of theirs, and I think that's where this is sort of going right now with automobiles. It's really nice to see the fact that we are getting a sedan as opposed to just another SUV, although the Crown Insignia looks really good too. We'll talk about that in a separate video, but hope you enjoy this. Thanks for watching. My name is Eric. See you in the next one.